I'm Joe, a recovering alcoholic and addict, and I have 15 months clean up from Medina, Ohio.
Joe, I want to thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to come out here to the Ride for Recovery in Medina, Ohio. We're really grateful to have you and here to share your story. So I want you to start at your childhood. So tell me a little bit about your childhood. What was it like? Did you experience any trauma? Did you have any siblings? That kind of stuff.
Okay. My childhood was messy at the least, right? My mother was an alcoholic. We moved probably 20 times before I turned the age of 14. My mom was a single parent and she was deaf. And so quickly the responsibility of taking care of the household, was put on me. So I would have to call bill collectors. I would have to call Social Security, HEAP, Section 8, all the government services you could think of, and kind of coordinate and explain and then relay that back to my mother and then get things going so that we had lights, that we had gas, we had food, we had a vehicle, we had, calling landlords, things like that. And like I said, my mom was an alcoholic and an addict, and so it was a struggle, one house from one house to another house to another house. As a child, I remember living with family members and getting kicked out. So there was a situation when I was about 7 years old. I was living with my little sister and my mom, and my mom was going through a custody battle with my stepdad. And I was coerced into lying in court for my mom against my stepdad so that we could keep my sister.
So let's talk about your first use. What was it like and what did it do for you?
So my first use, right, I drank long before 15 years old, but I tore my ACL at the age of 15, and I had this little button on for my knee, and I could pump morphine into my leg. So I realized that if I hit that thing twice or three times, I was getting high, you know what I mean? And so I did, pumped the shit out of that thing. My dad manipulated that pain pump, and I believe I OD'd at the time, and we ended up going to the hospital, and that pain pump had to be fixed. But I realized that the medication they gave me after my ACL repair, Dr. Chesner, hell of a sports surgeon. I haven't had a problem with my knee since, and I'm 32. But on the way home to drop me off back at my mom's, because I had to live with my dad because my mom couldn't provide the care that I needed while I had a screwed up knee. So on the way back to my mom's, there's half my pills were missing. And even at that age, I was frustrated and concerned and stressed and anxiety of, well, how am I going to be painless? This hurts so bad because really I like getting so high. I don't even know if I needed them, to be true. You know what I mean? And I went into the doctor, and my dad even coached me a little bit. Tell him Vicodin gives you headaches. Tell him fucking you want IRs. You don't like Tylenol. Your dad's concerned for the Tylenol. It's in our genes. Like our livers and our kidneys are shot. Anything to get the IRs, the bigger dose, and I did. And multiple surgeries after that. Every car accident I've ever had, every motorcycle accident I ever had, there was always that golden hum, right? Where they bring me morphine and I know I'm getting a script, right? And the script's right there, no Tylenol, IRs, and listen, I've had a million surgeries. Please don't walk me out of here with 10s. I'm a big boy. I need 20s. I need 30s,
Joe, can you share a story of your use that really highlights your use?
I've got quite a few, but I would say a good one is when I was in Alaska. I went there knowing I needed to get off drugs, right? I knew that I had some chains on me. I had some obligations to fulfill before I could do anything else in my life, and I didn't like those chains. I wanted to be free. So I went to Alaska, a small town. I went to Seward, Alaska. I worked at Ice School Seafoods on a fish processing plant. I would spend the summers in Alaska and I would spend the winters in Arizona. And I worked my way up the ladder. I went from fish processing to forklift, and then from forklift I turned down the supervisor position, and I did take a position with engineer tech maintenance, and the money was great. A lot of contracts, signatures, certifications. They were getting ready to, they pay for my schooling, getting ready to send me out, and I ran back into my old friend, opiates, heroin, black tar, and yes, it's there, and there's a lot of it. And quickly, all the money I was making wasn't that much money. You know, I was spending on either stupid stuff, obviously, or all in dope. And it's unfortunate because a lot of people really got hooked on it off of my dime, and they left there with nothing. And they came there to make money, and they left there with nothing. They offered me help, and they knew, and I turned it down, and I ended up leaving after everybody trusted me. As an engineer tech, you're trusted with boilers, you're trusted with heavy machinery, torches, welders. I mean, you name it, I was trusted with it. Keys to the plant, the facility. You know, one of the big guys, you know, all the keys. So I ended up borrowing a bunch of money from everybody and left there with about $5,000 in my back pocket and just came home to get high. There was a situation where I knew I needed help. I'm back in a factory job. I'm in my old town, Cambridge, Ohio. And I'm just, you know, living paycheck to paycheck, sleeping on couches. Eventually I get fired. I'm on it really bad. I'm living out of hotels. I'm driving for the dope man up to Akron, Cincinnati, you name it. Like, we're all over the place. Detroit. And I'm skinnier and shit, 120 pounds. I can almost feel my organs giving out. A lot of dope. No food, no water, dope. Just dope. And that was my main concern, you know, dope. I got kicked out of a hotel. I went to my mom's house, and I stayed the night there. I ended up ODing, but I also had a heat stroke. So I can barely remember this, but like, I remember the temperature was jacked up in the room for some reason, and I couldn't open the door. I wanted to, but I couldn't. I couldn't physically connect the mental dots. And I was like bouncing off the walls and hurting my body and scraping up, you know, leaving big old gashes in my arms and things like that, just all over my room. There was a bicycle in there, so I ended up breaking the bike and breaking the walls, and just to get out of my room. I got out of my room, and I can feel it. I'm not right. I can barely walk. I'm like crawling, you know, and I threw myself in the shower, right? I don't know how many people I've thrown in the shower to come back to, right? I go into the shower, and I can't remember a little bit, and I woke up on the floor. My mom woke up by the grace of God, because she's deaf, and ran down the hallways and screaming to everybody, you know, call 911, my son needs help. And when I woke up, obviously they Narcaned me. They took me to the nearest hospital. I woke up in Columbus, and they said I also had a stroke, and my left arm was literally stuck like this. And, you know, I was in tears, and I asked them, I said, hey, I need help, you know, and they literally couldn't get me in anywhere. A hospital. I was at a hospital. No treatment center, no nothing. They gave me this little blue pill. I can't remember what it was called, but it helped with the symptoms a little bit. But no more than 72 hours out of there with my arm stuck like this. I'm shooting dope in it. You know what I mean? Doesn't make sense. But that's all I cared about. That's all. You know, there's so many times where I chalked up my life to that. That's me, you know?
What happened that you decided to get help, and were there any barriers that were stopping you?
So, the lack of resources in Cambridge, Ohio was one of them, right? Nobody was telling me anything about recovery. Nobody brought any type of program to me, per se, right? I had to seek it out, and I found it at First Step in Warren, Ohio. But I want to say that, I went back to Parkman Treatment Center. I left there and I tried again, my way, my plan. I always had a fucking plan. You know what I mean? No one could tell me what to do. I'm smarter than that. I'm an engineer tech from Alaska. Who's gonna tell me what to do? Where you work at some factory or something, and you're gonna guide me? No, that was my thinking. I went back home. My mom was, a little proud of me. My sister was proud of me. I started getting my weight back. I'm working a job, doing all the things right. And I'm drinking a little bit. And before you know it, I'm sticking a needle in my leg because, steroids are way better than heroin. You know what I mean? So let's do steroids. Well, the come down off of steroids, that was easy. Right into I had the needles, shit. Right into dope again. Right into just 2 weeks. Like everything I worked for and built was all gone. And then I am super heavily addicted to Kratom. Massive amounts of Kratom. And just depressed that I'm, doing that. I spent a couple months locked in my own head, in my own room, full of fear, shame, guilt, remorse, depression, just like driving down to begging everybody for money so I could go get Kratom. And it was pathetic. I sold all my stuff. I sold my car dirt cheap all for Kratom. It took like this little edge off, right? At that time I couldn't recognize, and I wasn't mentally mature enough to see that I was using substances to cope, right? To deal with life, to smother emotions. There's things I just didn't know how to process right. My resentments were running wild. You know what I mean? When things are going good, I stick my chest out. When things are going bad, you fucking did it to me. And there was no accountability, So I was pretty fucked up for a couple months, back down to 120 pounds. Kratom's terrible for your body too. I can feel my organs failing again, right? My mom's upset with me. My sister's upset with me. My family, my friends are like, what the fuck? You never come around. I made the call to my buddy Sean Mills and Matt Lamarice. I said, hey, you guys told me about a place called Kathy's House. I'm interested. I'm going to Parkman soon. Can you help me get in? I got on the waiting list for Kathy's House before I went to Parkman, and luckily, even by the grace of God, I was able to get in. Obviously, I don't have a great track record. Knowing what if I wouldn't let myself in, so it was something I think they seen in my paperwork or whatever the case is that I didn't even see in myself, right? Which I got a lot of that in recovery, and all that just came true, you know what I mean? So, yeah.
What kind of support did you find in your early recovery?
Man, the support that I got in Medina, Ohio at Kathy's House, linked up with Hope Recovery Community, linked up with Ohio Guidestone, with peer supporters, with counselors, with a workforce program, with all the meetings available, almost any time of the day, with the strong recovery community. I mean, the support was endless.
Describe a feeling that you've received in your recovery that was not there during your addiction.
Peace. The feeling of peace, and not stressing about what has happened, and not stressing about the future, being in the moment, like kind of like a amor fati with stoicism, like to love everything as it is and as it comes, to live, man, to really live, like it's really the right way to live. I feel like, like I said, I've been wrapped up in a really screwed up way of thinking, and I feel like a lot of those chains, a lot of those obligations, I felt like I had to do stuff. I simply learned that I don't, and I can let God take the wheel, and I don't have to force my hand all the time. with every issue. And 9 times out of 10, things work out better than I thought they were going to. So I've learned to let's let it go a little bit more, so.
Okay, I want you to share some words of inspiration for someone who's out there that's either early in the recovery or just hasn't found it yet.
If you're struggling with alcohol or addiction, please don't give up. Reach out. There is hope out there. Give detox, inpatient treatment, recovery housing, all that stuff a chance. Go to meetings. Don't be like me and spend 5 to 6 years, 10 years, 15 years closed-minded, thinking I know all the answers. Open your mind up a little bit. Give it a shot. Give it a year. Give it 1 year. Be completely honest with yourself. I guarantee your life will change.
Joe, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to come here and share some inspiration and hope for those who need to hear it most. Your story will help to spread awareness, humanize addiction, end stigma, and inspire hope one story at a time.
Cool.
Thanks for coming out.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.